Welcome back to Boruto Anime Review. This is episode number 30. Yeah, 30 episodes for the series so far. Yep. When do I think that the series will hit 100? Well, I would say by next week. I would say in the next couple months. I would say by sometime next year, basically get past episode 50. I don't know how long season 1's going to last for because it's already 30 episodes in, and it's already a longer first season than the first season of Naruto Shippuden. It's almost as long as Naruto season 1. Yeah. I want to double check it just to be sure because I have Boruto up. Let's see. The first season of Naruto was 35 episodes. Okay. The first season of Shippuden was 32 episodes. So I have this really good feeling that this season will be longer than the first seasons of both Naruto and Naruto Shippuden. It probably is longer than several of the seasons that Shippuden has had throughout Shippuden's, 20 seasons has had. Right now, it's longer than seasons 3 through 5, 7 through 19, and 21. So it's longer than most of the seasons for Naruto Shippuden, all except for 1, 2, I'd say about 3. So most of the seasons basically is longer than. In the case of the original Naruto show, let's see. I just want to make sure about this one. Let's see. Let's see. The second season was 48 episodes. Third was also 48. Fourth was 54. So I think that it probably will surpass a majority of the seasons for Shippuden pretty soon, and it'll probably surpass the first season, fifth season of Naruto. So it might be one of the more longer seasons of the show, but I appreciate the fact that it is, but I highly doubt the season's going to end anytime soon. But yeah, this episode, which is called, let's see, the name of this episode is Sharingan versus the Lightning Blade, Kiba, the Fang. Now, pretty much, the whole point of this episode is you have Sadara versus Buta, the daughter of Raiga, a guy who was from a filler arc from Naruto Season 4. And in this episode, they reference the fact Naruto killed him. Which is true. Naruto did kill him. Naruto killed many people over the course of the original Naruto show and Shippuden. Some of them people he killed in filler stories. So, I highly doubt Naruto. I think Naruto probably remembers this guy because he's one of the 7 swords, but he can't exactly remember every single guy he killed off throughout the course of the series. But Naruto has killed one woman the entire series, the entire franchise, and it was during a filler story. But a majority of people he's killed have all been men. Yeah, but Naruto doesn't kill kids. Nope, he doesn't do that. They do show Butan a little bit of Butan's little bit of her childhood. You see one brief flashback of her and what looks like her mother, I'd say, and she just. Yeah, she says she had a traumatic childhood, and all they show of her is that she filled up a bucket of water, says, oh shit, she caught the moon. And then her mother walks over, kicks the leg, and says, you're just as worthless as him. Basically referencing, thinking that Raiga was a worthless guy because he abandoned them. I mean, the guy was a badass fighter, but, I mean, I'm sure he knew nothing. I mean, even she said that Raiga never knew of her existence at all. So, I'm kind of like, why in the world would her mother think that Raiga is a worthless guy? This is something I honestly don't get. And they say that the original owner of the swords was Raiga, even though that during the Fourth Ninja War, I believe this wasn't a filler story, or at least Probably one of the more better episodes of during the Fourth Ninja War when they show the past 7 swordsmen. Yeah, the owner of the swords in that one was basically my personal guess is that this was probably a person who owned the swords before Raiga did. Yeah, that's my guess. Um, but I finally figured out exactly how Salamander, basically the sword that Kisei used in Killer Bee last used it. I looked it up exactly of how the Hidden Mist Village got it back. Apparently, Killer Bee gave it back after the Fourth Ninja War, even though he kept it throughout the whole thing, which is odd, to say the least. So I at least solved that little problem, and also of how they got the swords back. Apparently, they were all gathered up and given back to the Hidden Mist Village after the war ended. Probably because they belong to the Hidden Mist Village. So I had to look it up a Naruto Wicca to basically how in the world they got them back, because I was a little confused because some of these swords basically last I saw some of them were just lying around the battlefield. A couple of them at least three of them, 3 sets of them basically like the Kiba sword that was with Dorai. I'm not sure how he must take it back at some point. Kakashi got the Executioner's Blade, and of course Killer Bee had Salamandra. Yeah. So basically, I solved this little problem basically because I didn't know this. Apparently, at some point, they gave him back. Apparently, I think this is referenced in a data book, which I had read the Naruto data book. So, yeah, that kind of solves that little problem. But pretty much, yeah, Sardora does take her down, and probably one of the most badass fights of the series. And she's just a damn good fighter. She's just as good of a fighter, just like her parents are. And she basically uses the Sharingan kind of similarly to how Kakashi was known for using it throughout the show, which was basically copying people with copying the hand signs. Yep. She's actually shown copying hand signs because they reference that the Sharingan can do that. In the case of Sasuke, he was never shown doing that. It was mostly Kakashi. So maybe she's getting some training of how to use the Sharingan from Kakashi because, well, he had it for, I don't know, like 15 years. He had it since the last war, and then he lost it he got it during the Third Great Ninja War, and he lost it during the fourth one. Basically, he gave it back to the guy who, the guy who originally had the eye took it back. Yep. So there's that. Sardora does defeat her, and after a long battle, they just fall unconscious. Now, as for Chochiro, he gets out of his predicament. He defeats all 3 people who basically are fighting him. The woman with the crazy looking hair, with the mushroom style hair, and of course with the needle, defeats her. The big bulky guy who's like a big buffoon and carries around his sword is basically a hammer and an axe. Defeats him he basically just has some defender as defeats the guy with the Executioner's Blade. So it's like after he got freed, he just defeated the other 3. He just defeated them so easily. And of course, the guy with the sword that can show up, basically throw up exploding paper. Basically, he goes to try to take down Chotro, and then all of a sudden, Wambi shows up completely out of nowhere. It's like, oh, great! It's actually him. This is something I was, yeah. It was something the fact he showed up, and I think he wasn't absent in the last episode. He just seemed like, oh, he had a brief conversation with one guy. He is, I can't have Boruto steal the spotlight. Which, okay, that's cool. And they get a chance to fight him, so at least get a chance to see him. Now, Mitsuke is given a scroll. As what the scroll is, don't know yet. Probably won't find out what's in the scroll. I mean, from what I can tell from looks from next week's episode, it looks like Mitsuke is going to show up and probably help out in the fight. But as far as I can tell, it's not showing exactly what the scroll is. Yeah, as for Inojin and Shikadai, as of what they're going to do, yeah, they're just left with Chochiro, basically the brother of one of the previous 7 swordsmen. Yeah, they're just left standing like, what are we going to do now? Who the heck knows? Um, and of course, Boruto gets a chance to briefly fight in the episode. You chance to see him like a few times this episode, mostly just Sadara versus Budan. Him, her, and of course Chocho versus at least 3 of the 7 swordsmen. So by the time this episode ends, at least half of them are taken down. Yeah, 4 of them are taken down in one episode, basically leaving about 3 left. The guy who's the leader of the group, one who has Salvozura, I think that's how you pronounce the sword's name. Yeah, it's a sword that can eat up chakra. You have Kagura, and the guy with the sword that can throw off exploding paper. Yeah, so you have those 3 left. So maybe Mitsuki is going to take on the leader of the 7 swordsmen. That'll be interesting. But yeah, this was a really good episode. Good advance for the plot of the storyline. But it kind of looks like maybe this episode, maybe this arc, maybe this little fight probably wrap up either in the next episode or the following one. And next week's episode is called, and I saw it's confirmed. It's called Boruto and Kagura, which is actually the 3rd time that it's referred to as Boruto and somebody. First it's Boruto and Mitsuki, and then it's Boruto and Sadara, and now it's Boruto and Kagura. Basically, this is the 3rd time over the course of the entire series where Boruto's name is part of the actual title of the actual series. Yeah, this is by far the 3rd time this has happened. But yeah, pretty interesting episode. I kind of wish we would got a little bit more of some of these characters back. I mean, some of these other 7 swords, we don't know who the heck these people are. Aside from the fact that they're kind of good at using their swords. Of course, the woman with the needle apparently is afraid of getting cut, despite the fact she sliced up Chotro very, very simply. Though, and here's one thing that Boruto has in common with his father. If someone's older than him, like what looks like about 20 years older, they've heard like old man, like Boruto's referred to him as like the Mazakage. He refers to him as old man Chotro. Which, okay, I guess he gets that from his father. Despite the fact that Chotro is supposed to be... I think he's supposed to be like 34. Yeah, he's 34 years old. He's practically the same age as Naruto. Yeah, he's around the same age as Naruto. Yeah, that's the thing about him. And I like the fact that we actually have him participate in the actual fights for this episode, which is great. Which makes the first time in an actual series where he actually takes part in an actual arc. Because if you look at him in Shippuden, he didn't do all that much. I mean, some of the time. He just shows off his sword, does a little bit of fighting. This one, he actually has a good chunk of fighting. But yeah, this was a pretty good episode. I'm also going to talk about the recent chapter that came out for the Boruto manga. This is chapter 17. This one, from what I can tell, it still contains some plot threads that were based. It continues like from a plot thread from the Boruto film, and of course Boruto is acting a little bit like very angsty around technology. I mean, he doesn't have a problem with other technology. He doesn't like ninja tech that very much because of what happened in the film. Okay, I get the fact he's resentment against that one scientist because the fact he basically. Nearly cost him his career as a ninja. So I get the fact that he holds a grudge against him. Fine. And also apparently, I'm a little surprised the fact that this guy came back. Ado, I think his name is. He was Mii's bodyguard when she was the Masakage, and I know he supposedly died during the last Great Ninja War. And here he is, alive and well, and his Byakugan apparently is still there. Apparently, part of his face burned off, he lost his arm and leg, and he's got basically limbs. He's got basically artificial limbs, which in real life, I've seen what artificial limbs look like. I've seen pictures, I've never seen in person particularly. They're generally not very robotic like they are in the manga. In real life, they're kind of basically like they're made of metal, a lot of them, and they basically assist people with moving stuff, and they just basically, for some people to get stuff to move, they have to basically move their muscles. They're not like automatic like they are here in this particular manga. And I've heard a rumor that Konohamaru might be killed off in the near future, which I'm like, that's a little odd, because Konohamaru was a little kid throughout most of basically of the original Naruto show, and basically, well, part 1 and part 2 of the manga, he's basically like a little kid. He only aged a few years. He's a little bit younger than Naruto, but yeah. Excuse me. Apparently he's fighting some other robot, and of course that this new mission of his, he has to basically go. He sort of Misuke sort of convinces him to go along because he promised to protect Sadara, because he wants to support her in her dream to become Hokage, because he has no interest in it at all. Which even in the anime, basically, it's shown that he has no interest in becoming Hokage, despite the fact some people probably think he has potential to be Hokage. Well, they don't mention in the show; they mention in the film of his potential to be Hokage, but he has no interest in it at all. But yeah, it was a okay chapter, a little bit of advancement of the plot of the action manga, but not very much. But who knows when they're going to adapt the actual Boruto manga, because the last time the Boruto anime adapted anything was the Gaiden 7th Hokage in Silver Springs. That was the last one they adapted. That was basically the Naruto. It was basically the Naruto Gaiden. It was basically a 10-chapter manga, which was adapted to 5 episodes. I predicted it was going to be 5 or 6, and it was 5. Yep. So who knows when they're going to get past the whole before the film stuff. Some people probably say it's going to be was going to be after it was going to be after the whole thing with the Naruto Gaiden. They were going to jump to that. No, they decided to do the Hidden Mist Village chip, which basically I initially was interested in because we never got a chance to see Hidden Mist Village that much, and now we get a chance to see it. Okay, but yeah, so that's really it for this episode. Stay tuned next week for episode 31, Boruto and Kagura. Now, there is going to be another video coming up later today where I'm going to talk about the Chopman special and all the Omakes, and there's about 15 of them. Hopefully these Omakes won't take me too long, because Omakes don't usually last too long, because last time I watched Omakes was with Bleach, and the Omakes for that those were about 5 minutes apiece, and a lot of them are really funny, interesting, and some of them did tie into the plot, and also educate people on certain stuff of the show. Okay, until I see you all in my next episode, bye.